Today I found myself standing in a field along with around 300 other people in the picturesque village of Ringland in Norfolk. But what am I doing here? Well, let me explain. The village of Ringland lays in the ecologically rich Wensum Valley about 6 miles from my home city of Norwich. I've come to visit the Woodland, but I'm not here today to see the wildlife. I'm part of the Witness the Wensum protest. You see, this woodland is under threat. Norfolk County Council wants to build a 3.8 mile road known as the Western Link, which will connect the Northern Distributor Road known as the NDR or the Broadland Northway with the A47. The council claims this road will ease congestion and boost the economy. But the project is controversial. The Wensum Valley is a special area of conservation and has sites of special scientific interest, ancient woodland and a rare chalk stream. It is also home to probably the only colony of endangered barbastelle bats in the country and 39 bird species of conservation value. The River Wensum and a connected river Tud contain populations of the endangered white-clawed crayfish. The route of the Western Link contains a viaduct that could permanently damage these rivers and threaten the crayfish. It also passes directly through an area of ancient woodland that houses maternity trees where the barbastelle bats give birth to their pups. The passion and opposition to this project are strong.
It's so nice to see so many friendly, compassionate, warm, committed, loving faces here. We are united not by anger, not by frustration, not by how horrified we are by the state of much in the world, but by love. We are united by our love for the natural world. We are united by our love for our fellow humanity. And that is what drives our commitment to preventing this road and so many other abuses of the natural world. If you are a drop of rain in Norfolk, you have 3 choices. You can fall into our wonderful Cretaceous chalk, which filters the water that falls on the land, and come up in one of our tiny chalk streams in North Norfolk, so the Glaven or the Stiffkey or a number of other tiny rivers which go straight into the sea. If you fall in the west of the county or in Breckland, you're likely to end up going through the Great Ouse, which is one of the most important rivers in the country, draining the whole of the Midlands. Imagine 13 counties worth of eels migrate through King's Lynn up the Great Ouse to get up into their natal rivers. But much of the water, indeed I'd say a majority of the water falling in Norfolk itself, flows out through Broadland. And Broadland begins in the northwest of Norfolk, in the headwaters of the River Wensum, where I live. The Wensum, let us not forget, is the single most important biological corridor in Norfolk. The Wensum is the connective tissue of the whole of the county. It flows right the way from northwest Norfolk through the centre of the county. It gathers water from the back edge of the wonderful glacial Holt-Cromer Ridge. The Wensum is significant, not just because it's the single biggest biological corridor in the county, but also because it is exquisitely preserved. It is one of the best preserved blocks of land in terms of biodiversity and ancient habitats that we have in the county. It is of huge significance for biodiversity, and not just for its own identity, but because along the Wensum we have fens, which are ancient alkaline wet marshes. We have dry habitats, sandy habitats, like for example the habitats that you would find in the Brecks. We have alkaline habitats, we have acid habitats, we have wooded habitats, we have glacial habitats, we have habitats where the chalk, the Cretaceous chalk, is right at the surface. The Wensum is all of the beauty and value of Norfolk gathered together in one place. And it would be a crime against all of us in Norfolk and against the river itself for this fabulous biological corridor to be severed in the middle, just as it's assuming its Broadland identity, just as it's about to join the Yare and become part of the Broads. We cannot allow this to happen. And it's not just about the biological identity of the Wensum, it's also about our identity as people of Norfolk. It's not an accident that the city of Norwich sits where it is. The city of Norwich was not plonked randomly in a place in the county. The city of Norwich exists in the place where it does, with the architecture it has, with the cathedral on the bank of the Wensum, with the castle, because of the Wensum herself. We, as a species, throughout our entire tens of millions of years of evolution, have lived in the context of the natural world. All of us, through our entire existence as a species, have gathered all of the natural resources that we need for our lives from the natural world. And until 3 generations ago, this required from every human on the planet an intimate relationship and understanding of the natural world, because there was no Boots the chemist. Other chemists are available. There was no supermarket. There was no National Health Service. Everything you needed came from the land and came from an understanding of the seasons, from an understanding of the health of the soil, from an understanding of the plants and animals around us. And we're not just severing now biological links in the landscape, we're severing our own identity with the natural world, our own integrity with the natural world. And of course, this is not just to our detriment, it's also ultimately self-destructive. We're all here because we know we've reached a point in the trajectory of humanity where we can't go any further separating ourselves from the natural world. We can't go any further pretending that we're not another biological species made of the DNA that makes up all of these glorious beings around us. We are intimately part of the natural world. And throughout the 20th century and into the 21st century, we have pretended that we are not. We've pretended that we are this God species that is in some way separate and above. And we are not. Our very survival as a species depends on loving and respecting and nurturing and honouring all of the other species around us, the landscapes in which we live, the soils which produce all of our food, the rain which enables that, the weather itself, the climate in which we exist. And the Wensum is the strongest and most powerful, most biodiverse and most beautiful symbol of that we have in Norfolk. Now, one last thing before I hand on to Helen, who's going to lead a walk. We will be sold stories of this glorious thing called net gain for nature. Let me tell you, as a naturalist, as a conservationist, this is poppycock. You cannot destroy a wood that is 1,000 years old, with 1,000 years of interaction between fungi and plants and animals and the soil and the bedrock and the rain and the sun. You cannot destroy that and replace it with a slightly larger area of saplings in plastic tubes and announce to the world that this is a gain for nature. This is a sinful and disgusting idea. And this area of the Wensum is so precious, so irreplaceable, and we cannot allow these ancient habitats, these ancient places, these ancient stories of the land in which we ourselves are integrated with the landscape. We cannot allow that to be destroyed. So I thank you for being here today. I commend your passion and your love, and together we will see this road